I am so deeply sorry for this, but when we film with natural light, it's really impossible to predict that it's going to be freaking dark outside when you have a spare moment to film. And I do believe that for this country, autumn is coming so fast that probably tomorrow will be winter already, because this is just... I have zero light out there, and it's morning. Like, somebody please explain this to me. Hello beautiful bookworms, my name is Katarina and welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to do something a little bit different and probably a little bit bigger than my normal videos, but that it's actually really tight with the book themes, so I will just go forth and explain. So you all know how much I love Outlander, don't you? Yeah, I think you get it, don't you? And for those of you that have been living under a rock for ages, the third season of Outlander, the TV show, is coming out as we speak. So I decided I was going to do with a little bit of a delay, because who am I if I'm not late doing stuff? I was going to do a little bit of a review of the episodes, comparing it with the book Voyager by Diana Gabaldon, which is the third book in the Outlander series that is now composed by, I do believe, 8 books and a 9th book coming out. So that's that. And normally for the past 2 seasons, the adaptation has been really connected with the books, and that's been something that I've adored. And actually I've watched the first season prior to reading the book, and I read the book because I love the season so much, and it was very similar to the thing, and I really loved it because, as you know, it's really hard to find adaptations these days that actually have something to do with the books and that respect the content of said books, and that are beautiful and filled with feelings. Yeah. So I'm going to try and not spoil you a lot for the book and the TV show, obviously, but I will have to mention some of the stuff that happens just so that I can transport to you my overall feeling of the adaptation. So for this video, I'm going to talk about the first and second episode, which were the ones that were out already. And then I will try and each week talk about the episode that comes out that week, which means that episodes normally come out on Sunday and I can only watch them normally on Monday, so probably I would try and post that video or in the end of the week or at the middle of the week, as my schedule will progress, and I will try and do this for each week that episode comes out. So now for the first and second episodes. So one of the main reasons that I decided to join these 2 episodes into one video, it's not only for the fact that I'm late for the party, because the second episode just aired this week, and as I'm filming, it is currently Thursday, and I'll probably just post this on Sunday or something like that, I don't know. So yeah, it's not really a very good day for filming, but the first one already aired a week ago, so I couldn't possibly try and do one per video as I want to do. So basically, not only that was a reason, but the other reason for me to be doing this is that the first and second episodes, in my opinion, although they were kind of faithful to the book, they had not a lot going on, which is pretty much normal when you are trying to set up a pace for a TV show and when you're trying to be faithful to the book that is the base of that TV show. So what I'm just gonna go into is the basic plot of the thing and what I thought about those episodes in general. And actually, I do believe that doing those two together is actually pretty great because they go together so beautifully. And if the first episode, at 2 hours instead of 1, probably this will be all together in one episode, if you understand what I'm saying. And it's not, for me, it wasn't a shock to see them separated, but if they were together, it wouldn't be a shock as well, because they were very consistent with each other, sort of. And I'm proceed to explain that. So, in the first episode, we don't have a lot of Claire. And for those of you that don't know, Claire and Jamie Fraser are the main characters of Outlander. And Claire was a nurse in the Second World War, and then she went back in time to Scotland in 1740 something, 43, I don't know, something like that. And she met Jamie Fraser, and he's a Scottish warrior and part of a Scottish clan, and they fell in love and they marry and etc. So I will just assume that you know the plot to the other TV shows or to the books, so that you can watch this video, because if you don't know the plot for this, I would advise you, if you don't want to spend your entire life reading bricks of a book, because Jesus Christ, this is the 3rd book, and look at this. And they're all pretty much the same size. So if you don't want to spend your life doing that, which I do recommend that you do, but if you don't want to, go watch the show, because it's similar, the same thing. I don't really remember what I was saying, because I was brutally interrupted. But I do believe I was saying that if you want, you go watch the show and then come back and hear my thoughts about it, because that's how this normally works. People, you watch the things first and then you go and watch reviews for the things. But if you don't care about being spoiled and not knowing a ton of what I'm saying, just go ahead and watch this video. So, for the first episode, as I was saying, we don't see a lot of Claire in a way. We see her back in her own time, pregnant with her husband Frank, and just trying to deal with what it means to be a housewife and what it means to be a woman in that ages in America, because they changed to America because of Frank's new work. And it's really interesting to see that she's completely different from the other women that surround her area of, well, knowledgeable, I don't know, like an area of people that she knows. And she's completely different of those women, because she reads the news, and I think that was a beautiful touch. She reads the news, she is interested about women studying, she has opinions of her own, and she's not afraid of saying them while getting in a gathering with the men. And actually, there's this scene that was really great. That's when she and Frank, they just go to meet his boss, and she just goes like the trophy wife normally goes. But when she's sitting there, she starts to make an opinion and a comment about something, and his boss looks at him like, dude, control your wife. And it was so pretty awesome, because that was really the way that it was in those times. Like, I wasn't from there, obviously. I'm from these times, but I know from what I've read that women weren't very respected in that time. And it was really nice to see that portrayed in a very truthful way, that they weren't that respected. And she wasn't going to take that shit. She was like, I have an opinion and I read the paper and I want to keep informed about stuff and I want to know about stuff. So I'm just going to make my own opinions and make my own decisions, and I don't care that I am a wife, I'm a person. And yeah, I'm not only here to get pregnant and give birth and stuff like that. She was really, the face that she made when the guy just tells her, you read the paper, like what? And the face that she made was priceless. I really loved that discussion because it was very important to set up the way that women were seen in that society, and that after that, in the episode 2, we'll have something to do with how she's seen when she tries to go into medical school. And she's just victimized in a way. She's just, there's a lot of prejudice against her for going to the medical university. And yeah, but in the first one, you don't see a lot of Claire. You see a lot of Jamie in a way. He's the first one that you see, I believe, and it's when he wakes up in Culloden wounded and understanding that he's not dead and that he's not going to be out of that life, and that he just wants to die because he doesn't have anything left. He has his family at Lallybroch, but he doesn't have anything else to live for. He just lost his wife and his child at the same time. And they can't come back because it's like they went through the stones to another time, so they just can't come back. And he just lost all of his men pretty much and all of his comrades in a war, and he doesn't have anything, and he's wounded and he's dying and he's delusional, and yeah, it really hurt to see him like this because poor Jamie, it wasn't his fault. And you see how everything went badly in the Battle of Culloden, and it's really great to watch that and see how that went really, really bad. And I'm not laughing, it was actually a true battle and a true disaster, but it's really amazing to see from the perspective of someone that is curious to know how history went. And then you watch him get captured as the rest of the survivors, and they are being hanged because they are traitors to the crown and they have to hang and die. And you watch him say goodbye of his fellow men that survived, and it is really very sentimental in a way, and I think it was very well portrayed because you know this in the books, but you don't have that feeling of really watching and hearing what they're saying. You can only imagine, and your imagination is not as bad as what really happens in the war. I promise you that. So yeah, but then he is saved of that destiny because of the warden that was trying to take him to be hanged, the sergeant or whatever the name for that position is. He recognizes him as the one that saved his little brother before the battle and spared his life. So there's this honor between him and the promise that his brother made that saves Jamie's life. And I think that's very interesting because nowadays we don't have anything like that. Like, you can make promises and they are pretty much shallow because you don't really put your word in it. You don't have that sentiment of honor that you should have, but normally you don't have that. Normally people are murdered behind their backs and you don't have, I don't know how to express this, but I really wished that we could have a little bit of the honor that was passed in the early centuries, because at least promises that you made and vows that you would take would mean something. And if, for instance, your brother said he had a life debt to someone, you would forgive that person for what happened. Not forget, but forgive and say, I'm going to save your life this time. And for everything that you did for my family. And I would let you go. And then we will settle the score when we can another day. And I think that that's really, really important. And I would like that. Well, I would like there to be peace in this world. But if there's not, I would like at least to be honor in the fights that we make. But how? Why? I mean, please. But that aside, yeah, that was very interesting. But he hoped that Jamie would die in the way to his family, to Lallybroch, but he didn't. And he got there. He didn't die. And yeah, I'm sorry, my leg was itchy and I had to, yeah. But he didn't die, and he was treated in Lallybroch and overcame his fever. And then right next to the second episode, we see that there's someone being searched, and that one is called The Dumb Bonnet, and he's supposed to be a Scottish trader that is taking shelter next to the family in Lallybroch. But then you have all of the political interests of capturing someone, of taking shelter, of trying to not let your family be discovered and destroyed by the ones that rule over you. And you have the interesting thing about that episode was maybe the Scottish sergeant or captain or soldier or whatever he was that betrayed his people and his country just to be safe and went to the Redcoats. And I think that one is really important because we tend to be on the side of the Scots because our main character is a Scot and his family is a Scot. But and so we see that soldier as a traitor. But the fact is that he's trying to do the best for himself and for his family. So although he's later revealed as a bitch character that you're supposed to hate, you can understand why he's doing that and betraying his people. It's because he wants safety for himself, and war is a very difficult time to be safe. So sometimes your morality is not as great as that will allow you to just give up your own life for it. And I think that's a very interesting point that the episode makes with only 3 or 4 appearances of this dude. And you see the family in Lallybroch, Jamie's sister and his brother-in-law, and his children and Fergus, how they are coping with the fact that they have to protect Jamie from being discovered. And he lives in this cave, and he brings some food occasionally, and it's really great to see how much it impacted him that he couldn't die and that he couldn't move on from Claire and from everything that happened in the war. And it's very noticeable that he has, although it's not very described and very talked about, it is noticeable that he has a little bit of PTSD because of the war. And I think that you can see that when Fergus calls him a coward and says that I want to protect the family even if you don't want to do it anymore, and he just tells him to throw the gun away. That's a very brilliant discussion in a way that it means that he's not a coward, but he's afraid. He's afraid for his family and he's afraid for himself. And although he may not truly say that to himself, he doesn't want to die anymore. He wants to live, although he has absolutely no reason in his mind to live. He wants to do it, and so he becomes a little bit more of a coward in a way, because he knows what war and what the English can do to him and to his family. And so that leads to the decision of basically turn himself in, making a plan with his sister to just tell the authorities about him and make seem that it was her idea. And that scene is so tense because she and he are screaming things that are not true, obviously, because they had a plan that this would happen. And then she turns to him and says, "This is all your fault and I will never ever forgive you." And you can see her crying, and that is the only true thing that she says in this entire discussion. That is, I will never forgive you for making me turn on you just to get money and peace of mind for the rest of my life, because I would prefer to have you here and be afraid than to have you gone forever. And that is just so, I don't know how to say this, but I got really emotional in that part because that is so hard to say to someone and to feel. And it was great. It was just amazing. And in the second episode, you do see a little bit more of Claire, although I have to say that her moments creating her child and everything. Oh, I forgot to say that in the first episode, she gave birth to Jamie's daughter. And then you see her in the second episode taking care of the baby, and her relationship with Frank being a little strained, but at the same time, she's trying to just working with what she has. Like, she even tries and have sex with Frank to try and mitigate the solitude that she's feeling. but she can't look at him in the face while doing it because she's thinking of Jamie. And I think that this season has been really heart-wrenching because you have two people that love each other fiercely and that can't be together and don't know if the other one is dead or alive or okay or anything, or if they ever can be together again, because they absolutely believe that they can't be together again. And so it's really, really hard for them to be living in this situation. And although some people can discuss that Jamie's life is worse because he's just been caught, he's probably going to prison, he is just given up on his entire family, he's not going to see them again probably, and he's just he's been through war, he's been almost killed, he's been injured, he doesn't know if Claire is okay or not. I would like to say and to point out that Claire's life is not as easy as it seems because she has a newborn child and the father of that child is not there, and although she has a lot of support from Frank, and I do adore Frank and I think that he's amazing from what he's doing, it's not the same thing, and she misses Jamie more than anything, and she has something that is missing in her. And that's probably why at the end of the episode you see her applying for medical school and how happy she is that she's actually doing something, although there's a lot of prejudice against her. And at the end of the episode she makes a new friend, this black person that is also going to the medical school. And they make this friendship because they don't try and renegade each other. They're the only two people that sit together. They're the only two different people in that white, boyish community. She's a girl and he's a black man. And it's really difficult to understand for me because I'm white, and although I'm woman, I have now a lot of rights that they didn't have back there. And it's really a lot difficult for me to understand why are these people judging them so much. But from history and from what I've learned, I understand that portrayal, and that friendship that is formed is so really important. And in the book, it was very, very important. So I am really happy to see that they decided to maintain that friendship and that character, and I can't wait to watch the development of the thing going on. And I have a lot of expectations for the third episode because these two, although they were showing the differences in their lives, were a little bit quick in a way and a little bit slow in another. Like, you don't really get a lot of information. Like I said, if this one was just one episode, a 2-hour episode, or even an hour and a half episode, it wouldn't make such a difference. So I am really excited to see if the pace picks up and just goes in the next one, or if you are still seeing things really slowly converging to the point where we finished in the second season, which you'll probably know if you've watched the second season, and if you haven't, why are you watching this video? But yeah, so that is all for me for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this reviews, and I know that they aren't very good in a way because I wasn't really prepared to do this video. I decided to talk about this because I really wanted to talk about this, but I promise that I will prepare my next reviews, watching the episodes and taking notes so that I can discuss with you the most important things of the next episodes. And I hope you guys are enjoying the series as much as I am. If you like this video, leave a like or subscribe down below, and happy readings to you all and happy season watching. Bye.